if you can't take yourself so seriously, you're not that which cannot take itself so seriously. Yeah, just step back another step. One isn't enough. You need two, non-duality. So take a step back. That seems to have not worked. Take another step back. There's space there. And then you see you're not that which is not feeling good, and you're not that which is commenting on you not feeling good. Yeah, it doesn't change the fact you're not feeling good, but it changes a lot of other stuff. Yeah. And maybe it changes that you're not feeling good isn't as much of a fact as you think it is. But who wants to describe it? Just do it. Take a step, and it's not working, obviously. Yes? Something is still kicking your ass in a way, and you've been the witness of it for years. You've been the divine observer. It hasn't worked, has it really? You're here, so it obviously didn't work. So now we've got to question the witness and the divine observer. Yeah, because you're before it all. You are before it all. So there's the Esther we question, and now we question the divine observer of Esther, because it's not bringing relief from or for Esther. So what's the point? Yeah. So see that the observing has been now named the divine observer. And it's just as much not you as the Esther you'd like not to be you. Yeah, just take a step back. It didn't work. I know people who have they've done way more than almost all of us combined on a spiritual level. They've done everything. They've been in the inner circle of more than one or two or three powerful transmitters, yes? They've done everything, and they're still fucking driven crazy. Of course, they're not seeing the second aspect of it. They've got a clear thing of what they're not, but what's trying to get that clear thing of what it's not is what you're not. There's an assumption it's still you, just like there's an assumption when you have an awakeness, let's say event or a gift, you believe a lot of shit is you, that's not you. So you expect the head to get into a great enlightened condition when it just does what it fucking does. It keeps thinking it's the chooser of what's happening. It does not get convinced by the message. You can get convinced by the message that it's not going to get convinced by the message. You just get it. You stop fucking tending to it and giving it spiritual meals. It just throws them up. It can't fucking eat it. It can't digest. It's already full already of shit. It's not gonna, it doesn't see nothing on the menu. It just doesn't see it. So you see, let's say the objectified what you're not, which many of us have come against because it seems to be the nexus of irritability, restlessness, and discontent. Some even more extremely have been driven to it, where it's almost a life or death thing. You got to see it, because this thing's killing you. Yeah. But then the claiming of the seeing of it is now killing you slowly, you know, killing you slowly. That song plays. It sounds as such soothing music, but the same events occurring. It's just being drawn out in time more. So now you have all this knowledge about what you're not, it's not serving you whatsoever, because it's self-knowledge. The knowledge about self has been claimed by self, turns into self-knowledge. And we, as some of the canaries in the coal mine, active addicts and alcoholics, are here to tell you self can't get out of self. You know? Because if anyone wanted to get out of self, it was us. And we went to great lengths. Maybe we were a little tired by finally we got to the spiritual house on the block. But the first few, the party house and everything else, we went full bore. We went completely for it. It didn't work. And then we ended up at the spiritual rehab. And maybe we were a little fucking tired, we were a little cynical, so we weren't jumping all aboard. And maybe we saw something, which, hey, I see the same activity happening in the crack house that I'm seeing in the spiritual ashram, self trying to get out of self. Wow, incredible. Self trying to get out of self. At least the cops will break into the crack house. No one's going to break into the ashram and knock the fucking doll off your plate and, fucking give you a Zen bitch slap and say, enough. It's not working. It's fine. You feel better. You got a community. You're getting a sense of belonging. That's great. So call spirituality a club that you join and you feel better. You subscribe to it, you pay your membership and you feel, oh, it feels good. But you're not going anywhere. Yeah. What's here and now doesn't leave here and now, ever. We believe we've left here and now, yeah, and now we're trying to get into here and now. Come on in, folks. Of course, everyone in Zen Bit Shop has a very loose thing what here and now is. You come in late here and go, all right. You missed the whole point of the message. Just get here on time. It'll help you. We already described what you're not. You're just now, you walk in as examples of exactly that. So, so we were just going on the same rant. Yes, the rant of one of our members obviously is not doing good, or they don't feel like they're doing good. And what's adding on to that not goodness is the thing that's loitering above it, observing the poor person's condition and making a huge desire for it not to be that way with no possibility of changing it, which is just more suffering. Yeah. So it's enough this one aspect is in, the second aspect is going to make it worse. We know, haven't you noticed sometimes fruit, any form, anything, drinks, yogurt, everything. She has gotten 3 passion fruit over the years, at 3 or 4 passion fruit starters or plants, they all die. Now I feel it's because she really wants the fucking things to grow and they all die. It's just her interest is not serving the interest. It's not unusual. It's always the case. I found it with me. I found it when I was about 19, 20. Already I've had trouble with my stomach, It seemed to hurt a lot. And I didn't know what to do about it. And so I was about 19, I got involved in spirituality. And then a lot of other stuff came along with it. And one of them was macrobiotics. So I heard about this thing called macrobiotics. And I wanted to be Chinese anyway. I did. I was practicing Tai Chi. I wanted to be Chinese. I figured I like the idea of a tiny Chinese dude up in the mountains. No one's bothering him, fucking moving slowly, just like water. You know what I mean? I did. So this was Japanese, really, but it was close enough. So I heard about macrobiotics. It sounds pretty obvious. Eat stuff that's in season near you. And basically, don't drink much water at all. Drink a lot of bansha tea, which is twigs, very dry. And miso, use a lot of miso. And, get like burdock root and fucking great shit like that, tofu. So I went for it. And I actually had an interview with the main guy, Michio Kushi. The only thing I can remember about the interview was he sat at the end, don't eat onions. That's it. I did. Everything else went over my head, but I remember he said, don't eat onions. So I swore off onions. So there I was. I could go into a sauna and I would not sweat. At 200 degrees, nothing came out of me. There was no water content. I never drank any water. I was dry as a fucking, papyrus parchment or something. I swear to God, I would not sweat. This was unbelievable because I go extreme. Yeah. So there I am, walking around doing microbiotics and spirituality. And what's the focus of all my attention? My intestines. I couldn't see them, but I was doing as much as possible, thinking about it, walking around. My whole day started from here, and I watched it all day. It was insane. And then finally, I realized my wanting it to be different was making it stay the same and get worse. So there was an old vaudeville act where one of the jokes was, we're going to send the guy around the corner for a half an hour. That's what I needed to happen. I had to get into something where I forgot Paul, who was remembering how sick Paul is, and send that Paul around the corner, at least for longer than a half an hour. And I found out that I started doing a lot better when I lost interest in doing better. You get it? I don't think this is unusual. I don't. So I see it. I see it in myself still, and I see it in other people. They have a keen interest in something, and that interest is mutating the whole thing. Now, because we obviously have an opinion of what we are, we don't really recognize actually what we do, which is we give everything all the meaning it has. That's not a statement of what you are. You could say you're the ultimate meaning giver, but it's what's happening. The action of us is one of them is you and I give everything all the meaning it has. If you like the Course in Miracles, that's lesson 2, very profound lesson. Yeah, you and I are the dreaming of this dreaming. We're not an object in the dream. It's not God's dream. It's not someone else's dream that we're visiting. We are the dreaming. We are the activity of the event. We are not the object that's in the event. We're the dreaming. We're not the dreamt. Profoundly different. Okay, so what happens is the head gets this idea that an aspect of them, and it separates itself from that aspect when it's just the other side of it, is now called Paul. And Paul is not doing well. Paul is, you know what I got? Sit there, I got a seat in the car. All right. All right. Paul, you know, this and that and this. And then there's an observing of Paul that is assumed or implied because of the act of observing, yeah, being the seeing, it applies to be a seer, the seer from awareness, not something that's seen in awareness, but it's actually the awareness seeing stuff about me. And now the case is against that me. And I am definitely not that me. And if I can just get this me handled, I'll become the better, more authentic me. They're both the same side, same point, different sides. Yeah. This is what non-duality shows you. A negation of one is not enough. It's negation of two. It's non-duality. So what is the duality of the identification? It's the object called Paul and the subjective called Paul. The subjective is truly seemingly claiming the immediacy of the awareness. The objective has been sort of taken off the stove and it's not as hot anymore. Yeah, so this sounds like the real thing seeing the unreal thing. They're both unreal. So if you only see one and there's an identification of the other, it's not going to be, you may feel like you're liberated from that, but you're not liberated. You're adhered to another idea. And in some cases, it's worse to the one you wanted to get relieved of. It's called like the policeman thing, and it has no vacation from the policeman. It's always surveilling, holding up to you to high standards or others to high standards, constantly getting in resentment and all this fucking shit. Yeah. And you're fucking, what did I do? I've done 40 years of work in this one lifetime. I kissed a lot of fucking holy feet. I've done a lot of shit and they're still insane. Yeah. And it doesn't stop. They keep going, keeping on because they're not seeing the second aspect of it. Yeah. They don't lose interest in liberation. Yeah. Because they're still living in the need to be liberated. They just don't know it because they're bound to this other idea that they think is them, just like they used to be bound to that idea thinking it was them. They've just shifted it to another aspect, but it's the same bondage. Yeah. And so the real liberation is from the need to be liberated. So you're freed from those two dominant themes, and you're now, like we say in AA, you're placed in a position of neutrality. So you're neither this nor that. See, before I only thought you only had one option. You're either that or this, but you're neither this or that. Yeah. So it's a neither. So it's pure negation, really. It's not like a surgical negation and reinforcing something else. It's a negation of both, like the patient and the doctor. Yeah. You can't figure it out as a patient or the doctor, because the doctor inherently, which is completely false, thinks it's different than the patient. Yeah. So when you say you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, people don't hear it because they're sitting there using Paul, aka the Buddha, to seek the Buddha. They think Paul is the Buddha, so to speak. Paul is my authentic me, but it needs to be shined up or something. There's so much obscuring by this, you're giving it a whole lot of other power. Yeah. And once that gets cleared up, I'll be a brilliant, authentic self. Has it happened? No, of course not. It's the same, it's a different side of the same coin. But if you only see one side and it's heads, the implying is the other side is tails. It's different, but it isn't. If you flip the coin, you'll see both of them at heads, not you. And then you get relief. You don't have to say, I'm on the road to get relief. You get relief from being on the road to get relief. You do. You get instantaneous relief, which you become a very, very savvy spiritual consumer. You are. You're just, once you hear, this is the newest plan to get into the moment, you're totally out of there because you realize you can't be out of a moment. Yes, this is you're gonna use yourself to find your authentic. No, that ain't gonna happen. So you're not buying shit you don't need anymore. It's not like the spiritual garage with all those whatever you call it, workout things that never get used. What's the new one with the videos or something? Some pedal, some Peloton, yeah. You're just there. The video's probably still playing. No one's on it in the fucking garage. Come on, you can do it. No, I can't, motherfucker. Return it. There's the solution. I can't. Or I won't. It doesn't fucking matter. It's just not happening, is it? So there. So what happens is you get relief from all those demands. And they're demands, aren't they? It's another form of slavery. You're still being directed. Yeah, still being directed constantly, critiqued, observed, gone over. And that's the weight you really like to live from under, really. It doesn't really go anywhere. You know enough already about what you're not. You don't need to know much more. You just need to know how it's presented. You don't need to know the quantity of evidence of the presentation just to see how it comes about, because it's manufactured. You can see it because you're aware. You're before anything that's ever been made up. You stand before it. Everything that's wished to be unmade, you stand before it. Your awareness, yeah. Or let's say, don't blame me. Go by Ramana's thing, being ourselves reality. Okay, does he say that was a moment in time that you worked incredibly difficult year after year to get to that point, being ourselves reality, and then to lose it when you stop being reality? No, it was stating a fact, being ourselves reality. That fact could have been stated at any moment, and it was a fact. Yeah, being ourselves reality doesn't mean, oh, it can only be said in a temple. No, it's being ourselves reality. The greatest mystery is reality, being us, wanting to attain reality as us. Yeah. Now, if that shoe fits and wears it, it's not gonna produce more yearning and desire to walk farther and faster and maybe even run. No, you just fucking stop. Yeah, and let all the shit catch up to you and things get cleared out. Yeah, and then you see, you don't waste another second looking for what you can't find. You don't. Yeah, you're not going to buy the next newest book, How to Really, Really, Really Get Into the Moment. You're not going to, you think you missed something in the second edition, how to really get in the moment. I'm going to have to really, really, really get into the moment. Isn't that the case? Can't leave awareness alone, has to be radical awareness, pure awareness. I want you, let's bring, it's already here. Here it is, awareness, okay. What are you, like you're like a fucking spiritual butcher. All right, I want the leanest cut of awareness, the radical, it's the rump probably, radical awareness. No, it's awareness. Yeah, it's honest, dog shit awareness. There's no pure or radical. That's an adjective given to what we think we're not. Yeah, another way of making it something unique and different to what we're breathing, feeling, tasting, touching, smelling right now. Yeah, this doesn't look like it's radical. I'm in a fucking school room in Marin City, not even in Sausalito, in the water. This doesn't look radical to me. It looks mundane. Well, I'm sorry, that's awareness. Yeah. Yeah, I feel it's fucking good. Take away all that, well, let me, can you sit down there, Noah? Sorry.
Sure.
Where is, yeah, exactly, that was good. Hey, Mia, in my car is two pull-out seats in the back. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's the way to do it. I mean, take right over the seat. I like that. This is how it goes. This is why for all those people who are waiting to waken up, she woke up first, and then the next seat is available. Okay, speed it up. Let's go. Come on, in and out, wake out, wake out. Yeah. So I mean, I've been pounding away at this for years because I'm serious. Something hit me one day when I was starting to show up for this seat assignment, and it told me, hey, if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from it. Yeah. So what we're describing in a like almost a laboratory setting, so that you can see it, like when they used to have you open up the frog in school, yeah, to show you all the organs. Yeah, but the frog was dead, but you'd open up and they think, all right, there's the heart, there's this and that. So we're opening up, selfing, so to speak, laying it bare with the hopes and having great faith that awareness is more than enough, laying it bare, maybe describe its activity. So maybe you will call it, seemingly used to call it your activity, but now maybe you move, there's a movement and you see it as its activity. And that's a huge change right there. The claiming it as your activity, and when that shifts and you see it as its activity, like the mechanical mental activity, is a huge shift. Huge. Because this whole thing is whipped in personalness. Yeah? When the personalness is taken out of it by recognizing it as manufactured, truly, it's just an activity, a mental one. And the activity needs time. It's essential for it because it's going to try to imply something that comes after is before. Yeah. So, and then the simplest example is they're seeing, the head claims the seeing and says, there's a seer. And suddenly the seer is placed before the seeing. So now every seeing claimed reinforces the same seer. Yeah. The seer came after the seeing. But the way the mental narrative is, it plays with time. It's the main character comes after the movie starts. It's not at the beginning of it. It comes after. But then it seems the whole movie is all about it. So it gets implied to be before. And it's habitual. So there's a claiming of seeing and a seer. Seer. Same thing with the idea of self. You don't think you're becoming a self. You believe you already are one. So it's already used time to historically place its idea as a fact. And then the possibilities when seen as a fact are quite limited. Usually it's driven as, I want to get out of this. I want to get out of self somehow. So let me have a drink, buy some fucking shit, do whatever. Yes, I just want to get out of this, wherever this is. Yeah. You never really take a breath, and unless you hear a message or get whacked, that you're not in it. It's very unusual. It's usually just assumed to be true, and then let's do the best we can from that, instead of let's question the truth of it. And then in questioning the truth of it, its house of cards starts to fall down, and you're still there when it collapses. And there's an obvious hit that I'm not that. Yeah. And it may take, maybe you need one hit like that. Maybe you need thousands of hits like that. That's what satsang provides. It gives you a constant hit. You're not that. You're not that. You're not that. So if someone goes on an Enneagram retreat and they come here and now they have another identity, they're a 6 and shit like that, and you say, yeah, learn all about what it is like to be a 6, and you're not a 6. Yeah. I did not hear that. I did an Enneagram retreat, and all I heard at the break was people, they're more identified. I'm a 4 with a sex 6 or something. Hey, are you a sex 6? I thought I'd like to get the, oh, and then I was just more identification. There was no warning on the fucking gift. They should have said, whatever you find out about you, you're not that. That would have, I would think that was the point of the Enneagram, is to break us down as you can only be a mixture of these 27 characterizations, 918, it was 27. They basically, it was sort of like my friend, and he's from Ireland, and he has a good joke. He says, you know, he looks like he's from Ireland. So he says, yeah, they only have 6 faces over there, and they broke the mold. So every Irish, there's only 6 faces. Well, the Sufism, they brought the Enneagram up to present 27, let's say, Fords, possible Fords, custom and stock Fords in this fleet, knowing, and so whatever there's an identification with, you're not a Ford. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, because the thing is, why do you need to learn that you're a Ford and then bring it to you're not a Ford? Because you think you're a Ford now. Mm-hmm. This isn't like, if there was no feeling you were a Ford, there would be no need for negation. But there is a need for a negation, because we have to negate that idea of that you're a Ford. The Ford can't do it. It can't. The Ford he'll take inventories of every other model, thinking it's a unique, separate Ford. Yeah. So we just present the basic mechanicalness of it with the hopes that you see, oh, what's constantly breathing life into this activity is an activity. Yeah. It's Pauling or selfing. It never was a thing, and it's never gonna be a thing. It can appear to be a thing to us. And because we are reality, if something that is not a thing appears to be a thing, it sure seems like a thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like if you died, now I don't want that to happen. Let's say you were dreaming last night and you never left the dreaming. It would be real, obviously. That would all you would know. You would have never seen yourself. You would just be assumed, because usually you don't see yourself. You're seeing everyone else in regard to what you call yourself. You don't see yourself as a body a lot. You see a lot of bodies, though. But you're running around. Just the assumption is just glaring that you're a body, but there's no evidence. So here's the dreaming. Now, we have a respite from that, which is called waking up in the morning. When people wake up in the morning, no matter how many years were happening in the dream, it was like nothing. If it was 5-second dream about slurping, drinking a Slurpee, or a 300-year dream of many incarnations, you'd wake up just like that. A 300-year dream wouldn't demand a month of waking up. It would be just like that, because time is inconsequential. Only in the dreaming does time have meaning. So when you wake up from the night dream, it's gone. That tiger, you may feel it, but you don't even remember the tiger in 4 or 5 seconds. But that fear that you were feeling while you were sleeping, thinking a real tiger was approaching, you don't go to a fucking doctor, you don't take a pill, you just see the tiger isn't real. When you wake up in the morning, you just see, it's not like you work at it, you just, hey, that wasn't real. And that brings about the relief that you wanted while you were in the dream. So really, what relieves you of the dream is not in the dream, it's when you wake up. And the same thing here, yes? As Jesus says, you're in this world, well, let's say you're in this dream, but you're not of it. And recognizing that you're not of it allows you to wake up to it in the dream. Yeah. What does that look like? You won't take it so seriously. What does that really look like? You won't take yourself so seriously. You won't. You lose interest in it. Yeah. I sit down a lot in my yard and everything. And at that moment I'm sitting in yard, no one in the whole world, if there were ones, know I'm in the yard, and no one in the whole world cares if I'm in the yard. Yeah. And I'm feeling like the world. I don't care, I'm in the fucking yard. Sitting there, just sitting there. Because my neighbors don't get there, no idea. Everyone's driving by another car, they're in their own little private Idaho. It's just incredible. It's a subjective dreaming. It's like a worshiping of an idea, this idea of self, yes? And like it or not, we either were born a devotee, we became a devotee, but there needs to be a truth told that the head, we're not, the head is devoted to this idea. Yeah, it cherishes it, like they call it in Buddhism, the cherishing of self. It cherishes what it's making up. Yeah. And of course, okay, without knowing that you're identified as it, you will try to get out of it as it. And therefore, all the message of non-duality started showing up, and Huang Po was incredible. He said, hey, whatever can be perceived, which is all of us, as this, is not what's perceiving. Right? That's very clear. There's an exemption, no. A clause of withdrawal, no. A but, no. There's no fucking but. Whatever can be perceived cannot be that which is perceiving. End of story. Fucking incredible. Yeah. That could be your whole scripture, the rest of your life. That's all you would need. Yeah. And therefore, that which is the brain in that which can be perceived, that brain is collating or interpreting everything that comes through it to that which can be perceived, the body. So there's a very clear statement in the Course in Miracles, page 468, I think. It says, hey, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Yeah, so the brain is in cahoots. You're not having an objective experience here. You're having a subjective experience, which has an agenda to reinforce the phony subject. Yeah. So to try, if you're you thinking it's gonna whisper a secret to you, it's shouting out the real secret, which is it's failed. It's a failed system. What can it show you? It's failed. What can a dead horse show you? It's dead. So you'll get up. Yeah. This is the point of non-duality. It's negating the one side of the coin, and then let it flip over, and then negate the second side. So the one who asks, who am I? And the one who's being asked, who am I? Are both not you. Yeah. If you bring out one with the other, which is beautiful, self-inquiry, if one comes out, and now it's going to ask, who am I, to the other? So you get them both out at the same time, which is incredible. And usually they negate themselves and you feel like presence or space, don't you? Usually. Maybe the first second it's me, one of them answers me, and then you go, well, who is this me? And then the whole thing collapses. And then there's just a sense of presence. It takes like 5 seconds. Now, you don't think there's any answer because nothing showed up. But that's the answer. Yeah. Yeah. So once you get a little key, you'll realize that absence of these two things is what you are. And it's available when they're appearing, because they're only appearances. They're not taking up any space, they're appearing in space. Yeah, these walls are not taking up space. If you knock this wall down, you don't have to go to Home Depot to get like a 5 by 12 foot piece of space. Yeah, there's going to be just a void. No, this is just appearing in space. The same space is here when it's up, and when it goes, it's the same space. Yeah, if you weigh the space, it's going to weigh the exact same. With you can add 80 walls, it's not going to weigh, the space isn't going to get heavier. Yeah, if you take me out of the space, it doesn't, 160 something pounds is no, there's no pounds. There's no thing appearing that's real and solid. We're appearances in space. Yeah, so when I walk out of the room, it's like I was never in the room. Yeah, it isn't like you see a little ball. No, there's no ball, because it's appearing. Everything is appearing. What do you think the word dreaming captures? Word dreaming captures exactly what the night one mimics. Yeah, everything appears to be real. We react as if it's real, and it's not real. And if we're reacting as if it's not real, that which we appear to be is not real, but we are that which is the reaction. We are reality. Yeah, we are the space things are appearing in. We're not that which is appearing in it, but we are the space it appears in. Yeah, it's nice. So what happens? You get a little bit of distance from what you're not, and there's a loss of interest in it. And maybe you want to go 100% complete loss of interest. To me, 50.000.1% was enough. As soon as the scales were cut, I'm like a slacker. I just, work's done. I'm cool. Because it's just going to keep going. You know what I mean? You got the ball to the top. It can only speed as it goes down. So it's all been, I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not running with it, pushing it. It's just, it's got its own momentum. It just broke through this old gravity, and now it's just, yeah. And I really believe, in my case, that interest in spirituality was really an interest in getting out of self. I had tried drugs and a lot of other things, and I was just looking for something that would get me out of it without that much cost. You know, I wanted a payoff, but I didn't want to pay any more costs, like getting arrested and overdose and getting run over by cars. I didn't think that was viable anymore. But once I saw I am what I'm looking for, I have no interest in spirituality as a hobby. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, make sure every vertebrae is completely set every time I'm sitting, and be mindful, even though I mind every pea I eat and chew it 35 times. I'm just not into that. You know, I much rather just, you know, bumble and stumble through this event and be available with the shit going on. You know what I mean? Instead of making my shit the only thing going on. You know? Yeah. So I feel satsang reinforces this. I do. And I feel it's naturally in you to disarm. It is. After be weighing so, you know, carrying so much weight, we're all really just waiting for permission just to fucking put it down. And if non-duality is the greatest giver of permission, I feel. It just tells you, you know, that which you're hoping to be as a liberated thing isn't you. So you can be liberated from that weight now. It's like the story Ramana used about the guy. His life is that he has to bring these big bundles every day to a village about 50 kilometers away, and he has to walk, and he has this huge bag on his head, and he's not happy now, but he lives with the hope he will be when he arrives and can put that thing off his head. So every day it's sort of a very heavy chore. And a guy who recognizes this asks him, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to somewhere. And he says, hey, you can take the train, and that hamlet's only a kilometer away from the train. You could cut out like 29 kilometers out of this fucking chore. And the guy goes, all right, great. So you feel like you delivered the message. And the guy tells him where the train station is, what time it leaves for this place. And as the train's going by, he looks and he sees the guy, and he's still got the bag on his head. So then the next trip he goes in there and tells him, you can put the bag down. The train will carry the bag also. Yes. And so that's being an inviter. It wasn't enough just to give him that. He had to check it out, because he was still carrying the burden after like the problem was solved. Yeah, this is the same thing with the double negation of non-duality. We believe we've recognized something as not us, but we're recognizing it as the same not us. It's claimed the clear seeing. It's claimed the seeing as the seer. So now I know the aspects of Paul that has defeated me, and I'm now going to be victorious as another aspect of the same thing. Yes. And I didn't see it till I saw it. And I meet a lot of people who aren't seeing it until they see it. And a good place to go is, you're not going to go have an operation. You're just going to sit in the waiting room. The operation is you're already well. So we just got to go to the waiting room, go to satsang, let it sit, and there'll be a leap. Instead of trying to get back to somewhere through time, you'll see you never left. No matter what conditions you seem to be in. You're not determined by these volatile conditions that come and go. You're not. That's been proven here. I mean, I do not, at 11:30 every Saturday, I walk around, I tell the dog, can't make any noise. Amelia, no noise. The cat, don't fucking make any noise. I have to be at peace for an hour before I come here. Get ready to receive. You don't know how hard it is to keep this, keep taking the shit out that culminates in you. No, it seems to run right by it all. All I got to do is show up. There's no get ready room, no get set room, no go room. It's just here. And I have complete faith in it. I don't think you need to study it, to tell you the truth. No. All you do is need to hear it, and then hear it and hear it and hear it until the hearing dominates the hearer, really. Yeah. And once it starts dominating the hearer, it's pretty much going to continue to dominate the hearer. It's just getting the thing up on top, and then it will roll down. Don't expect it to roll down when you're on this side. That's what people do. But let's just go. Once you get there, yeah. So, anyone else? That's it, eh? We can keep. If you have any questions here, no. Anyone in the room, the Zoom room? We have intensive care in the Zoom room. I see. All right. Let's see. Nurse Nina is now in intensive care. This is what happens. All right. Lay down on that operating table, Nina. Don't get up.
You had me at the story of the intestines.
Which one?
The gut.
Oh, the intestines. Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I will say
incredible folly.
No, well, I wanted to say, because when the selfing takes over the body, it's very, that's really, really difficult. But I will say that I went from being in incredible physical pain at the beginning of this meeting to like not being in any pain right now, because my attention got shifted. And honestly, it's when I'm by myself and like, yeah, and I actually think that it went from alcohol to that. It totally went from alcohol to that. It goes, okay, try it. Where's the 12 step for this? But and there's a lot of people in 12 step that it goes from one addiction, how it changes addictions, but when it goes to, and there's a lot of like digestive problems, back problems, all that stuff. I think it just picks a different thing. That's
Yes, it's not an it's sort of like water that's always searches it for the easiest way down. It has its own nature, but it's not a thing. It's an activity. Yeah. So
yeah. It's an
activity. Up going one way, it just regroups and goes down another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the activity like digesting food is an activity, and if it goes, it's so.
I know, I really, to walk around and your intestine is the center of your universe. Fucking crazy.
But it's hard not to pay. It's friggin' painful though when it, and you can't like talk about it. But since you brought it up,
the greatest salve is laughter. So after you get relief from it, there's a lot of laughter about it. Because I did, my famous one was the for years, the best probiotics would say they had billions of beneficial flora. And then I think one came out that had trillions or something, and it was selling it at Whole Foods in Mill Valley. And it came out in like a 6-pack, and they looked like little old dairy bottles, and it would have like a trillion, but it was like $42 or $48. So I started buying it, and I'm drinking it, and of course you don't want to look like an idiot. So I'm thinking, I'm feeling better, I think. I'm drinking, doing it for about a year, really. And I decided I'm going to, back then they had a place in Tennessee, I think, called Smoky Mountain Labs. It was famous in the health and fitness underworld. Yeah. They would, investigate your shit, literally. So I said, all right, I called them up. They sent me a thing, and they had an application, what I wanted them to look for. And of course, like everyone else, parasites. Everyone's afraid you're being driven by a parasitical movement, but you're afraid of parasites. So I had that down, and I asked a couple other things, sent the shit there. About a week or two, I get it back. I'm still taking this stuff, and I read the analysis. No parasites, fucking far out. That's great. Then I get to beneficial flora. 0.0000 signs of any beneficial flora. Now I put like 2 trillion immigrants of beneficial flora into my little village here. There should be a fucking sign of something. There was no sign. I was like, what? I put there's tons of this shit in there. Then the next paragraph explained it. And this is sort of like non-duality. Yeah. It is, but non-duality would have the second paragraph, the first paragraph. But this was, in this world, the first paragraph, there's no signs of any beneficial flora. And the second was, Mr. Hedderman, you have 2 bacteria in you that love beneficial flora. So you basically have been catering gourmet style to these 2 bacteria. They have grown to such an epic size. They're probably the healthiest aspect of the ecosystem. Someone must have really took care of them. Yes, me. Completely against my agenda. I've been feeding them. They were huge. I couldn't believe it. But there was a principle in there that I have revisited many times and heard it from many people. Amelia with the passion fruit. And this is one of the crux of the matters. Your interest is not the best of your interest. Yes. If it's too magnified, it's not going to do what you hope. I remember I was a kid, I had a chameleon. They didn't last long, but I had a chameleon, and I had a round thing with some like little rocks, colored rocks with a fake plastic palm tree. And we were going to Staten Island to a family thing. I lived in Long Island with my family, and I refused to go without, I had to take the chameleon. So they said, okay. So I had the little round thing, took the chameleon, and I put it in the back of, back on the top behind the thing in an old car. And I would go into I had it show up, and then I go out to check it out. So the first time I go out, it's doing all right, give it a little water, like those little fucking larvae things, throw a couple of larvae in. It was very serious about promoting this chameleon's life. So then I go back, get caught up in it. I come back out, the chameleon's nowhere to be found. There's this thin little like leather belt, and the sun had moved, and it had come through the back window, and it had killed it. Yeah. It got cooked. The plastic tree wasn't thrown any shade. It just got cooked. It was like a piece of dried leather. I was so bummed out. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have the understanding. Sun moves and shit moves, and it killed the thing. But now, if the chameleon had a choice, the last person he would like to have look after it would have been Paul Hedderman. Because I signed its death notice. Ignorantly. And usually that's the case.
Right.
We don't know what's going on. The head is a very powerful magnifier. It is. And there's a huge power of light that we represent. We are reality. So this reality going through a self-centered lens can fucking produce like atomic results. It can make mountains out of molehills. It can do a lot of shit. And all we'll have is some fucking weird narrative that never captures what's going on, and you don't even feel good with you for being right. It's not working. You say, oh, I know why this is. No, you don't fucking know why it's happening. Yeah. So this self-centeredness just focuses shit, magnifies stuff. Yeah. And it can't stop the magnification. You have to see it from outside of it. And that's easy because you are outside of it. You've got to start. It's not like most of my life I've been trying to get out of something I have not been in. And I've been trying to get into something I've never been out of. It's been that black and white. Just all the particulars don't matter. Those are the two basic things. I was trying to get out of what I was not in, and I was trying to get into what I was not out of. Pretty much since I was about 6 or 7. Yeah. This can be corrected with satsang. Non-duality's understanding is fucking, I feel, the clearest of all I've ever heard, because, and it's seamless. So it's just negation of what is assumed, so that what is before the assumption gets noticed. Yeah. Or you start noticing everything else, let's say. Yeah. And then once things come to an end, you get it, you're convinced. You stop looking, you're not trying to get into what you're not out of, you're not trying to get out of what you're not in. You're just here constantly. And if you write about it, or you don't write about it, it doesn't change anything. You're here. Yeah. If you live it very casually, or you live it looking for the most precious, diamond-like carats in it, doesn't matter. You're here, completely here, all the time. Yeah. So why not get established back to like the real starting point, and then maybe you won't be interested in a lot of the races. Maybe you'll find your own beat or your own drum beat or whatever. And but not live under these illusory and these mistaken ideas. They strive for life. They drive. They want to keep going. Yes. Something that's not alive, it's in the seeming living of it that gets it going. So it wants to keep going. Wants more feeding, more feeding, more feeding. And look at what sometimes we look at spirituality as now. We've come to we become at peace with the idea that it may take lifetimes. It's fucking insane. Can you imagine if a furniture store didn't deliver what you ordered, and then their answer was, well, it could take lifetimes? You would just fucking accept that? I don't have a lifetime. I need that couch. You know what I mean? I'll find someone else who has a couch. But this idea, it just feeds, it just can't produce the goods. So it says it's your fault and that it's going to take a long fucking time. Yeah. You can't produce what's not produced. It's already so. So, yeah. I am. I'm still convinced. Seriously. I believe, see, this is the thing I learned in AA. I could be convinced. I had no idea of that. But I got convinced when I got struck sober. I was convinced of two things that never changed, which is I'm fucked. Yeah, and that I'm not managerial quality. Just hit me, and it was the end of the story. This had a lot of catching up to do because this thing had been running wild. It had to learn how to live. I needed a way of life. I didn't know how to live. I would get arrested a lot. I didn't know, my strategies were not good strategies. And I had an ability to attract people in uniform into whatever I was doing. It was not a good way. So this thing had to get undone, worked on, but that which I am has never been undone or worked on. Yeah. And when this gets chilled out, it makes it easier in a sense, because then the interest and attention, instead of being wedded to watching this, can go off. Yeah. And I truly believe undirected interest and attention is presence. So there's presence, and then there's being present to presence, and that being present to presence is undirected attention and interest. There's a certain amount of interest and attention a day needs, but not the whole fucking squad. Yeah. So now you're resting in that which isn't going anywhere while you're going places and doing shit. Yeah. And you really, truly realize on having never left. Because no matter where you thought you'd go or didn't go, you're always here. There's no escape. And you're happy about it now because it's cleared up. Yes. Because the head just loves to fucking go off. And if you can just, being convinced is like closing a door. Yeah. And then the door doesn't open again. And then you close another door and then, yeah. Now that same interest and attention is enriching today here. Enriching, I can look at you, completely look at you. Yeah. And instead of enslaving me to tomorrow or next or yesterday. So, yeah, anyone have a question in here? No one here?
Yes, Dana has her hand up.
Oh, Dana. Speak up, Dana, please.
I just wanted to know how to spell what the I don't know what he is, the guy that you work with, Wama.
Ramana Maharshi. So RAM, Ram, ANA, Ramana. Now this is going to be hard. I may need help. Maharshi is M-A what? M-A-H-A-R-S-H-I. Yeah. So M-A-H-A-R-S-H-I.
Okay.
Ramana Maharshi. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Go on Google and they'll have 3 fashion shows a year. The spring diaper, the summer diaper, the winter diaper. Comes usually only in one color. And there you go. White. Yeah, oh, it stays in one color. He has a water bottle for that. All right. All right, that's good, honey. That was a nice question. Metaphysically, what does letter mean in Ramana Maharshi's name? Raw. All right, anyone else? No,
Esther,
no one, there's no questions?
Esther,
Oh, Esther, all right, Esther.
When, can you explain how it comes that you said that the one that's you say that it's looking at what it's not, but that's what's it's not is looking?
No, see, there's looking. Yeah, that awareness is happening. You are now looking at ideas and, let's say, memories, or let's say habits or patterns of what you call Esther. That looking, which is awareness, gets claimed, and now it's another aspect of Esther looking at Esther. Yes? The looking is awareness, but what's claiming the looking is putting a twist on it. Yes? So what's claiming it is sort of always what's looking is the panoramic. When it's claimed, sometimes it's moved through a myopic. Yes? Do you understand?
The myopic,
Let's just say there's something in you that has ideas, and those ideas are about what's called Esther. Yes? It has memories, it has beliefs, it has, this has happened to Esther before. Yes. Okay. Right now, there is a seeing of these ideas. That is awareness. There is also a mental activity claiming the seeing of those ideas and now putting a lens cap on it and magnifying some things about Esther. Yes? You're not aware of where the light's coming from. You're now super aware of what the light is hitting. So it's changed your direction. You're not sensing the seeing, you're obsessing on the seeing. You see? Light comes in, claimed, you're this now, here's the light, and then this idea that you're the seer, and then the seer can get pretty fucking myopic. Now there's an obsession over the seeing. So all the light goes this way, none of it's resting in the light. Yeah, it's now being used to fuel the mental play, which is let's fucking jump on Esther. Yeah, so Esther beats up Esther. And that awareness, the awareness is neutral. The claiming of the awareness can make it a fucking obsession in a sense, because it will magnify molehills into mountains. Yeah, we're not saying anything about the awareness of light. We're questioning the aperture. Yeah, in this dreaming, the aperture is blocking out a lot of space and emphasizing only things appearing in the space and only the most closest thing, which is you. And now it's like that poor fucking chameleon getting fried by the sun because I'm looking at it through a magnifying glass, not knowing the sun is coming through. This is what happened when I was even younger. I used to like bugs, obviously, most people, kids do, boys. Yeah. And some of them had interesting things on their back, so I would get a magnifying glass to look at it. And unfortunately, the sun was right over my shoulder, and while I was looking at the bug, I was fucking cooking it. This is the exact same thing. Exactly, Esther. You're getting cooked by the light of awareness. You are. Because something's claiming it. And that something is giving it the meaning. Now it's going to enlighten or illuminate about you, to you. Yeah. You're not going to get out of Esther by that other Esther. Yeah. But you can see that, honey. You can see it because you're before it. Before there is light, before the aperture. What the light does after the aperture is the dreaming. It's undifferentiated before. I'll let a little bit of that knowledge come into the differentiated narration. Yes. Maybe it'll bring light to light. Yes. Yes.
What means aperture?
Aperture, like a opening or a lens.
Oh,
You know, it's on the camera, you have
yeah.
a certain lens, you can tighten it or open it. That's the aperture. Yeah, so self-centeredness is a myopic view. So there's a whole lot of light, but getting fused into a small narration, which is I see everything as how it pertains to me. That's a very small loop. Yeah, with a large amount of light. It's gonna breed obsession, yes? Yes. What does obsession breed? A desire to get out of something. What does that breed? Addictions. Yeah. What does addiction breed? A sense of incredible failure. Yeah. 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 The original addiction is that addiction not to the light, but to what's being illuminated by the light. You. Yeah. You're shooting up light, really. Yeah, it's fucking too powerful. You can't fucking take it. You can't. Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's not funny, but what's happening in you may be happening in others, but it's not happening about you in others. They're in their own little private Idaho. Yes? Yes. There's a whole lot of light and a whole lot of myopic. So you want to live large in a very small arena. Yeah, instead of fucking give up the living large and then the arena will be huge. That's just the way it goes. And some of us, we need help out here, and we need to get that help. We do. This is not another way of masking symptoms.
Right.
This is about recognizing the cause of the symptoms. Yeah. This is a whole other ball game. While you're having boils and other shit growing, you got to take remedial condition, things. You got to do something. Yeah. Yeah. That's part and parcel of the action figure destiny. When in Rome, you got to do as the Romans do. Lend unto Caesar what Caesar's. This is the way it goes. Yeah. But this message can bring a lightness to all of it because it's not of here, it's of that. Yeah. You are what you've been looking for. As light, you are. Light shining, light being used, they're different, completely different. The head is using light to illuminate what it wants to illuminate, and then using denial and other shit to block out other stuff. And always, every light is always bouncing back to you. It's just unbelievable. Everything's always about us. And yeah, this is a relief from that. Yeah, not as that, from that. That thing is looking for relief as that all day. It's from that. Yes, just hear it. If you hear, you've heard it, Esther. What may need to be done is you need to have certain things cleared up that aren't meant to be solved by metaphysics. You just have to get certain things down on a physical, let's say, emotional, mental level. And then this slogging of trying to arrive at where you are won't be so hard. It won't. Yeah. And you won't have to try to use it all the time. You'll see that you can be used by it. Yeah. And maybe you'll start. Yeah. And I feel like you've been traveling light through these talks, but I'm not an expert on whatever conditions we as action figures are. I don't talk mostly in particulars. I try to talk out of principles because I believe the particulars can come and go, but the principles have a much long-lasting effect because they're getting more to the root of shit. They are. So, but a lot of us, we've got some, if the particulars are barking, you got to fucking answer them. You can't just, oh, there are no particulars. No, it has to be taken care of. Yeah. Yeah. This is not our forte. We're not diagnosing shit or anything like that. We're diagnosing the basic fundamental activity of a mental process called selfing. Because I believe truly it's the closest to the source, the more influential it is. And I think that's pretty close to it. Yeah, I truly believe we are the dreaming of this place. So if you can see what's going on where you think you are, it can have a huge effect. Yeah, not by doing anything, but just like letting it roll over you. Yeah. Yeah. Non-duality is a disarming message. It's just negating the call to arms. Yeah, so, and we're here to support every way we can. You know, in a Zoom, it's just holding the space for you to be what you are and what you're not. Yeah, and hopefully allowing what you're not to be what it is, you can get the help you need on that certain level. Yeah, but I can't tell. I don't know clinical depression. I remember I used to do massage and I used to work on this guy and he used to burn cigarettes around his ankles, both sides. That's somehow it would bring him into feeling like he was alive. I don't know. There's a thing about it, but he'd burn. I looked at his feet and he had all these burns around his ankles. I hadn't gone there, you know, and he was heavy. I mean, he wasn't physically heavy, he was heavy, touching the body was extreme, like the man of steel, so to speak. What am I gonna say to him? I had no experience of any of that. Yeah, I don't. I may have been bummed out. I've never gone anywhere near what people I think call clinical depression, no idea. So, you know, I do know this is a subjective thing, and what's turning up the volume on your radio in the head is not the radio, it's the interest and attention. It's our interest and attention that puts up the volume of the radio playing up there. K-Paul does not have its own generator. K-Paul broadcasts by interest and attention. That I know. So, and I see a lot of times we act as if our own worst enemy because we want to be well so much it's making us ill. So yeah. Yep, that's about all I can say about it. Yeah. Esther?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Esther. Remember, you're a lifetime member of Zen Bitch Lab.
Thank you.
Yeah. That has some weight to it. Believe me, it does. Yeah. A lot of us just feel like we need to feel two things: permission, because this thing is usually playing like a meritocracy fucking thing on you. And then feeling like you're in good hands as the action figure. Yeah, like something, even if you can't conjure it up, something has you. Yeah, and has nicer plans for you, let's say. Yeah. So, all right. Anyone else? We have Nancy.
Nancy is waving her hand.
All right, Nancy D. All right, can't hear you. Hey, bub.
Still muted.
He's not going anywhere. He's got to make sure. Yeah. We can't hear you. Yeah.
You're still muted.
It sounds great. Can't hear. It's not. Michael, can you make a move? I don't think she's hearing you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, right.
Oh, sorry about that.
You
I
missed
just
the
didn't.
question, though.
Yeah, the question is, so I really heard something a little different today that's helping me. And it's that two sides of the coin. One side's the head and the other is also the head. So,
Yeah.
so, and we're not either one of them.
Currency. Hmm?
So
Okay.
this is my question. So I'm presupposing Nancy, I'm Nancy, right? And then the Nancy in is also, is that the other side of the coin? Selfing is the Nancy in.
Yes, the Nancy. There's the past and future tense Nancy, and there's the present tense Nancy, which is the claiming of the awareness of the thoughts of past and future. Yes?
That helps. Thank you. Thank you. And they're
Claiming
both,
isn't only of the past and future. The claiming is happening now. So there's a lot of the claiming is talking about the previous claimed, which is
Right.
like
That's
the old Paul, and then there's the present Paul, which is representing the claiming of the awareness now. Yes.
and then that's the activity, right? So the Nancy's the thing that I'm presupposing. And then the
You're not
activity,
presupposing. This is the good news. The mechanical state is presupposing it.
okay, the mental state. Okay,
Yes.
so that's
Yes,
just,
you are not doing anything.
okay,
You're not selfing. We're aware of it. Now, the awareness seems to be underappreciated, and it gets seemingly overwhelmed by ignorance. And the awareness gets claimed, and then it's used for other purposes. So now you become overly aware of you and under aware of what's going on. Yes?
yes,
That's not awareness. Awareness doesn't have sides.
it just is.
It
That's the
doesn't
reality.
go like a lot there and a little there. It's a field. So what's sort of emphasizing aspects is not it's awareness being driven or directed by the mental activity. Yes, it's an aperture. Like awareness, and then someone putting like an imaginary aperture and then calling it a camera. So, yeah, now it's Paul that's seeing. And what does Paul see? Paul.
Right. Right.
And it has a lot of opinions about Paul that only Paul is interested in.
If I could just reiterate, so the two sides of the coin are basically having a conversation using the awareness.
Well, actually, one is doing most of the conversing. The objectified selfing is again just used to bounce shit off of. Yes, it doesn't have a say much. It's you critiquing. Yeah, there's a you that's critiqued, and there's you critiquing.
Okay. So one is, yeah. So one's a thing and one's verbing, basically.
Oh, yes, the one is seen as a thing, and the other one is seen as the seer of the thing.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, it's duality, non-duality. If you only see one, you're probably not going to be. I've met too many people. They're just not happy.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing for many years. I think I've been seeing just one, but then that doesn't do it.
I know it doesn't do it. Actually, makes it worse.
It does. It's not
Ignorance
traffic.
is bliss. Ignorance is bliss at that moment. Seriously, who wants to have a policeman walk the beat all day?
Oh,
You know what I mean? Have you ever did, I don't know if you did, but if you ever worked, let's say construction or did a service, and then the boss or the owner of the house was over your shoulder all day, it affects your work. Incredible. Yeah, it It does. You may be a pretty good painter, you'll probably fuck a lot of shit up because of this too much surveillance. Well, this is what's happening. People,
That's the word for me.
yeah, there's some, and see it's just like in the Course in Miracles, it describes it really cool in a lot of ways. In this one section says, firm in faith. Well, it's you're in an active denial of what you are, firm in faith in this something else that your head has made to be you. Yeah, it says that you made to be you. I don't see it that way. I think the head makes this idea up. I don't believe you do it. Yeah, so there's a firm in faith in this something else that you've made to be yourself. Is the active denial of what you are. Okay. And after there's firm in faith that there's something else, why would you be suspicious of its direction? I mean, you gave it the keys to the kingdom. You must have thought it was worthy. And so after a while, and it says, well, you're not suspicious of what it's saying, but then we step in and say, well, now you are, because you've heard a message. To be suspicious of that. So that which is talking about that, the objectified that of anew, that subjectified action of anew, is the two sides of the same coin. They're printed in the mental mint, and they're spread around by phone calls and emails and texts and TikToks and Facebook and everything else. We're just sharing, passing the coin along. I just want to live on one side. Yes, well, it doesn't work that way. Life flips it. So there is a place of neutrality where you lose interest in both. You lose interest in the object that's going over, going over, and then you lose interest in the subject going over it. That's the essence of non-duality. The object is negated, the subject gets negated. You feel a lot different than when only one gets negated.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a body, but what you then take yourself to be is
It's even worse.
a non-body body. That's worse, exactly. That's really, that's why. Yeah,
Crazy.
it's crazy. I mean, I remember one lady called me. I think we did a Zoom. She had been watching videos for 13 hours. She had spent $1 million. Basically, she said, and you could hear her kids and her husband trying to talk to her through the door. She refused. She'd been up 13 hours watching non-duality videos. It wasn't it's just like the perfect illustration of the insanity of a you wanting to be a not you. Oh, it's just, and you know, the kids, Mom, no, no, I'm not your mom. It was just insane. And I said, I hope this is the last time you have one of these Zooms. And I never heard from him again, so I hope it worked. Really, she said I spent about $1 million on this stuff. Shit, I didn't see any of it coming out. You know how many of my one-on-one hours ever lasted an hour? They usually go about 10 minutes or more, less. Yeah, I'm not a real believer in it. I like impersonal message, especially if one of the aspects of activeness of the disease is personalness. Yeah, you don't need a personal message. You need an impersonal message about the personal. You do. I'm not getting it. Great. That's part of the process. Yeah. How long is it going to last? Well, when you lose interest in that, I'll say it's working. Yeah. 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 You're not going to get it. Great. Yeah. You're not going to get it. There's nothing called a non-dual experience. unless you want to call the experience of duality a non-dual experience. So you could say that. What would a non-dual experience look like? Exactly like this. So yeah. All right. Hey, is that it? Anyone else? Because we're gonna. Oh, I see Andrew. Let Andrew in, eh? Then we're gonna go.
Hey, Paul, I just have a quick question. I'm curious, how does that aperture metaphor apply to the senses and the body? Is it, what
The
comes up for me is
senses in the
sense of
body are
feeling.
defined, but there can be an intimation of largeness through a small aperture. Yeah, if you're getting a feeling of what's before the aperture, there's hugeness there. When you see it after the aperture, it's defined. You don't hear every note. You don't have a spectrum of, like some birds see much more light than we do, or shades of stuff. So yeah, the senses have a certain limitation, but when you're feeling that which is before the sense, it's very large. Yeah, and some of that largeness can sneak through the aperture. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. You're not going to have unlimited view seeing, probably. You know what I mean? This isn't about Superman, X-ray. No. The senses define something, obviously. Yeah. That's the deal. You're going to have an experience. This is the deal. It's going to have to come through an ear, going to have to come through an eye. And just in that case, it's going to be limited. Yeah, this eye is not able to, it's not an eye of a fly. It can't, doesn't have as many fractured lenses, and you're not gonna, but you don't look like a fly. So that's good. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's always going to be a dualistic, you're going to get this, but there's going to be a loss of that. Yes. So when you're seeing an awareness, it's much different than vision. Yeah. Yet vision can intimate the seeing of awareness. Like if you look at the sky, like they used to use this in Tibetan Buddhism a lot, just looking at a cloudless sky, it almost captures the sense of big M mind, a big open space, which allows everything to come in it, but doesn't get affected by anything coming in it. The sky never gets wet when it rains. Yeah. Sky doesn't open up when explosions occur in it. It's just a space, and having that defined idea can lead it to an intimacy of hugeness. Yes. Yeah. So gazing at, there's looking and gazing. You ever hear of gazing in Buddhism and stuff? So here's a way of using the same thing called vision. Usually vision is you're looking at something. Gazing is you lose interest in the something and you get more of a panoramic thing. Yeah? So it has possibilities. So that which is usually used for seeing, going to a thing, can gaze. You ever see the statue of Kuan Yin?
I don't think so.
Well, Kuan Yin is a bodhisattva from the Mahayana Buddhism, yeah? And she's pictured sitting usually on an animal or a bench with one hand pointing, and she's like gazing, supposedly over water. So that's another way of, there's the vision of an eye, but being used for something else. So she's sitting there gazing, and if you look at the Buddha, a lot of times, his eyes are half closed and he's gazing. He's just, yeah. Yeah, so there's a definition, but what we are is undefined, and the undefined can spread through the definition. But the definition itself has a defined mechanism, yeah? Yeah. But the art wouldn't be defined by the mechanism because we are the artists, so to speak. Yeah, yeah. So it's nice. So gazing. Yeah. You know, you get it, right? People like in the old temples, My friend is from the Korean Zen lineage, a crazy friend of ours, Zen Mark. And you know, there is some Zen in Japan where they stare at a wall, but really most temples were built and they had these bamboo things that they moved and opened to a view, let's say like a hill or a cliff or something, and you would gaze out of that, just not looking at anything particular, just gazing and then seeing the day change and everything. Yeah, so it isn't letting something enter, it's letting something come out. Yeah, so you, instead of constantly being pinpointed like the chalkboard and one dot of chalk, your head goes right to the dot and you don't see the big black. Well, gazing changes that. Yeah, you can just sit there. You're not really going to anything particular and you're catching something. Yeah, so these are, yeah, that the definitions don't need to be limiting. Yes, because what's before isn't defined by the definition, by the senses. It's before the senses. Yeah, so you can, yeah, it's cool. Thanks for asking that, because it made me remember all that.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I have a great backyard. Actually, here, when we have it outside, we face, hold on a second. This is what I see all the time.
Paul sees that.
You see? See, you see it?
Yeah.
So when
Yeah,
I'm sitting and the people are in front of me, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of people appear at the meeting, but I've always gazed at that. It's awesome. Yeah, yeah. So
We're gonna put a mirror behind.
you see, you may live through definition, but you're not defined by those definitions.
Right.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Can you apply that as well to the tactile sense?
Can I point it at the tactile sense? What do you mean?
I
Feeling?
get- I guess that's where I get stuck the most, because the tactile sense seems to be so convincing of like, I am in this body, I am defined by this.
Well, again, who is it convincing to? That's not you. I had this perfect in Dublin. We were doing I was working at another person's retreat, basically doing talks. And so at the last day, other people could come who hadn't paid for the retreat. Yeah. The last talk. So I was doing the talk and a guy came in, he says, "Oh, it always sounds like it's so easy when you're talking, you're not a body. I find it impossible." Yeah, I said, as a body. So, right now, the head as a body is thinking how impossible it is to imagine not being a body. Of course. Yeah, so
Good point.
yeah, if that fits, where? Of course, to the system, it's impossible. The absence of the system is impossible to the system. That's the whole point. This is what you see. Stick around. Come to satsang, go whoever you like, really.
Thank you, Paul.
It's like I'm not done with you, Andrew. What I would, let's say we have a format that it may be a different name, but it's a 9-step dance. All right. We're just adding 2 steps backwards. Not just 1 step, because that would be singularity. This is not non-singularity, it's non-duality. So it's the negation of the observed and the observer, not the observing, but the observer. Yeah, the head is playing both roles, and you have nothing fucking to do with it. Yeah, it sins, Its mistakes are not of you. Here, you're beholden to it, but here is not here. This is an appearance. This is dreaming. Yes? You're not, any charges that have been laid against you as a body, the sentences, there's a statute of limitations. They do not apply when you're not a body. All your debts will be paid. Yeah, so, all right. Is any more? We're gonna call it a day, I think. I got some latte to drink. Okay. Yeah. Kerry, nice to see you, my friend. Nancy D, just come to Sicily. Don't put up with any of that bullshit. Can't do it. Tariq, safely entrenched in Dover. All right, nice to see. I won't be there for a little while, so get comfortable. All right, Dennis W, nice to see you. I can't recognize this one because something's in front of it. Rico, he is definitely a man of his word. Sukai, nice to see you, Sukai. Richard H, thank you for the cash, Richard. A whole lot more, obviously. Chris H, nice to see you. He's on his 11th month vacation. Very nice. Sherry? Oh, Sherry, you're here in spirit, honey. Don't worry about anything. Yes, yes. Roman, Mullah. We got Lori. Nice to see Lori. Dana, Ramana, Maharshi. Kathy, Cleveland. Nice to see you. Nina, Vlad, my main man. Yep. Check out Vlad's music on the site. Yeah, we're going to be chanting, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, every morning in Italy. So get used to it. Learn little words. David Bitterman, David B. Esther. Oh, you're smiling, Esther, now, eh? Yeah. Yes. Oh, Angie, you're coming to Sicily. Yes? Yes, all right, good. J.A., he's another Canadian, yes? Has a phone? Oh, sorry we woke you up. Calm down, go back.
It's Hari. It's
I know.
Hazi phone. Hazi, yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to mystify you. Bye.
This is Andrew, thank you for your share, Andrew. Lala,
Thank you, Paul.
Lala, just stick with us, Lala, yeah. Yeah, all right, we got some more and then we'll take off. We got Claire, oh, Claire from Ramsgate. Cassandra, sounds like somewhere in Wales or Scotland, Ramsgate.
Yeah.
Susan K, my latte lady. Christine, Hawaii. Hey, the Zen Bitch Slap beating heart goes out to Hawaii. I know it's mostly Lahaina, but yeah. Jane G in Mill Valley. Homegirl. Rusty. Oliver in Berlin. I think another J. I think that's it. Let's thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming today. And appreciate the whole holding of space. It's great. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul Hedderman. Bye.
Thank you, Paul. Bye.